Good afternoon. It's July the something 13th, I guess. Yes, 13th. Um, yeah, it's a nice day. It's 24 degrees, so not too hot. Not as hot as it has been. Pleasant enough. I'm going to do a random walk in Lakeview. But of course, the first thing I have to do is get across the bridge, or one of the bridges. Why Lakeview? Well, because it's got trees, so it'll be shady. That's kind of the main reason. Plus, I'm on foot again, so I can't go too far afield since I'm starting from home base, literally. So the question is, do I go to the Albert Street Bridge, or do I go to the Cornwall Footbridge? And I'm leaning actually towards the Albert Street Bridge because it'll be a little different. So we'll take a little turn along Leopold here to my left, and then just a slightly different route than I normally take. We'll still end up on Angus Boulevard and then cross the bridge. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it, and take a look at the creek from up there, I guess, and then we're going to zigzag through Lakeview, is the plan. Try to fill 50 minutes or so. I did walk yesterday, but it was in such short segments that I didn't bother live streaming any of it. I had, here and there to go. I tried taping this button again, but it still requires me to keep my finger on it, which is annoying. We have a really big yard for some reason in this house. Also, I was very busy with publishing stuff this week, and I was in Saskatchewan, of course, if you saw my walk up there on Thursday. So there was the drive up there and back. Saw a fellow named Shaky Graves, is his stage name, at the Jazz Festival on Wednesday night. Melissa Etheridge is there tonight, I think. Or not. Yeah, I got 3 books sent off to the printer this week. 2 books of poetry and the new Dave Duncan novel, Corridor to Nightmare. The last one he wrote before he died. He had just completed it, and it was edited for publication by his longtime editor, Dr. Robert Runte. And we're going to launch that at Windwards Collide, which is a writing conference in Calgary in August. And my printer is closing down for a couple of weeks, end of July, beginning of August, so I had to get everything in time to have it all printed and shipped before that happened, so it was a busy week in that regard. Next week, still got lots of publishing things to worry about, but main thing is to get back to editing. I got a ton of editing to do as I move towards the fall releases. Anyhow, it should all be done already, but when it's just you, or just me, it's not just you, it's just me, I do the best I can. That's all I can say. I took on too much this year, but I'm getting through it. Next year will be fewer books. In fact, there may be none in the second half of next year. We'll see, or very few, maybe a couple, but nothing like I've done this year. There's always a nice little community garden space down here at the end. Still growing, but there nonetheless. This is Angus Boulevard, which joins Angus. Well, it doesn't join Angus, it joins Leopold. On the other side of Leopold is Angus Crescent. Then there's Angus Street that runs much further. So, as I often point out, whoever Angus was, he's been well remembered by street names. People's air conditioning going, even though it's not as hot as it has been. It was in the 30s, but today it's only 24. And a bit of cloud cover. No significant risk of rain. There might be some showers overnight, it looks like, but no warnings or anything. Which is good. My daughter's out at Last Mountain Lake at a friend's cabin, so She certainly didn't want it to rain this weekend. I need to mow the grass, but I'll probably do that tomorrow. Here's Harrington Mews, where my character Wally Knight lives in my Shards of Excalibur young adult fantasy series. As I always say, in a fictional house in a real location. If it was his house, it would be one of those down at the end. But I didn't really base it on a real house. For one thing, it has an indoor swimming pool. I don't think anybody down there has that. Not that I know for sure, I guess. Swimming pools are important when one of your characters can travel through water. Ooh, somebody having wedding photos taken over there in Speaker's Corner, it looks like. Boy, I hate people who do graffiti. Scum of the earth. Okay, across the Albert Street Bridge. There's the lake, of course, over there. Just side a building. Canadian flag's flying because, of course, Canada Day was just 12 days ago. Not flying very much today because it's not as windy as it sometimes is, but they're picking up a little breeze up here over the creek. This bridge has sometimes been called the longest bridge over the shortest body of water. That's not an actual Guinness Book of World Records category, but if it were, it might very well be true. Long bridge, and then we'll see the creek here, of course, which is not all that long at all. This will be the only noisy along traffic-y street, I think, today. Once we get across it, we'll head into the residential area. So let's take a look at the creek. Usually I'm looking at it from the other end down there, but Muscana Creek. Wally Knight's house would be right about there if it existed. Oh, there's some people in bridesmaids' clothes over there too, so it must be another wedding. I'm not walking through Rotary Park though. There's the provincial crest. But if I were, I would walk right by them, it looks like. Music coming from over by the ledge. Don't know why. So down in there is Rotary Park. The other feature of this bridge is these bison heads. They're on these pillars. Here's the sign, Rotary Park, established 1937. Look at it. But not walking through it today. We will go this way. Down to the corner. Cross at the light. Across Regina Avenue. Which would take you to the airport if you turned right. There's be a traffic jam on the corner here. Bikes, pedestrians. They're all going that way. I want to go across, but it looks like I probably missed the light rather badly here. Yeah, can't make it across. I'll have to wait. Actually not too long because the Albert Street is the busier street that they don't want to keep the red light on for as long. Yeah, here we go. Pretty short. There might be a left turn signal I have to wait for, but I don't think so. Nope. All right, we'll get off of Albert Street. been in that house. Not recently. I don't think the person that I know who lived there lives there now. In fact, she's a cabinet minister in the provincial government. I don't think she lives there anymore. I think what I'm going to do is zigzag through both streets and alleys. So we will take the alley, because that's the first thing that comes up. They have paved alleys along here, which is always nice. There's one behind our house that's paved too, which is, I think in our case, because it's a school bus route. School bus rolls along it every day when they take the kids to school. Brown bins are garbage. Green bins are kitchen and yard waste. Blue bins are recycling. That's the way it works. Should anybody ask, there will be a quiz later. I'll keep an eye on my time. I don't want to be back too late because I have the only key to the house and my wife is out as well. So, 3-car garage. We have a 2-car garage, which has 2 cars in it, which we don't drive, so it's kind of useless. Little airplane going over. Definitely somebody playing music over at the ledge. I don't know in honor of what. It's not a major festival today, as far as I know, of any sort that I'm aware of. Not surprisingly, I got a bad internet connection down in here. I hear music, but I don't know why. Right. Doesn't sound like my kind of music either. Okay, we won't take this alley, but we'll carry on this way. If the buffering is too bad, I'll post the recording of this later instead of... That's a nice big house. See, here's Angus Street. I always like that house on that corner too. There's something about the shutters and the colonial, I guess, is the word I'm looking for. Better on this side because the cars are fewer, it looks like. Oh, someone said hello. Ali. Oh. You should have waved. Not that I would have noticed. Or you could have honked, in which case I would have thought you were mad at me about something. So probably this was the best choice. I don't know what's going on over there. Sounds awful. What little I can hear through the houses and the trees. Nice houses along here. Someone posted a comment that they grew up in Regina and they didn't remember all these trees and big houses. And since these are all about 100 years old, pretty sure they were here. Leopold. Okay. Sorry, I didn't notice. Duck. Oh, you didn't duck. More nice houses, of course. Well, this one is actually multi-unit now, but at one time it was, I don't think for very long it was a single house. Pretty quickly turned into various things. I think it was like a home for wayward girls or something like that at one point. Anyway, nice big building, but not just one house anymore. I'm good. How are you, Hanif? Here's McCallum, another big one over there. Actually added to it. Made much bigger than it originally was. Never been in it. I think I know who lived there, maybe. but never invited in. This is a very McCallum and Hill are two very wide streets for some reason. Well, they are named after two of the prominent real estate people from the early years. Going to downtown? No, not today. Walking in Lakeview, residential neighborhood. More trees, more shade. Lovely houses. Many of which are in my book, Historic Walks of Regina and Moose Jaw, but I can never remember the details of them when I walk by. That's a new one there. That one over there I know was in the house, in the because of its kind of Spanish look. I know it was in the book, but I can't remember the details. Moorish, I think they call it, actually. So I'm just zigzagging through Lakeview today. Enjoying the shade. Yes, but quite a bit cooler than it has been the last 2 or 3 days when it was 30, 32, 33 on a couple of days. The Jack coming over. There he is. Just above the trees there. Certain days when the wind is like it is today, apparently, they come quite low over the city. They used to come over the Science Center when I worked there. I've been in this house, I think, when it was for sale. Just to see it, we went in and took a look. Charlie's Lawn Mowing. $10 per lawn. Tempting. I hate lawn mowing, and I need to mow my grass right now, but I haven't got up the gumption to do it. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe in the morning when it's cooler. Everybody's off doing something. These are just residential streets, so people are quietly at home. Not a area that gets a lot of traffic, because there's only reason to come here is to go to one of these houses. Literally a quiet residential neighborhood. Yeah, they come over quite low in this when the wind's blowing from this direction, because the airport is really not far that way at all. More older houses of varying sizes, but generally fairly large, the older ones. A few smaller ones. Here's a nice one. I always like that sort of half-timbered, faux Elizabethan look, Tudor style. That one appeals to me. That green one with the pink door over there looks particularly cool in the winter when everything's white and black and gray. Look at that brand new one next to it. So over time, these houses have been replaced by newer ones. That one has a turret. I like places with turrets. It appeals to the fantasy writer in me. This is one of the oldest neighborhoods. And was kind of where the, movers and shakers of early Regina lived. And of course, you could build a bigger house then. Oh, right. I'm doing alleys when I come to them, so I should take this one. Further you get from the river going this way, the more ordinary the houses get. The biggest ones were sort of close to the legislative building down there, that whole neighborhood. Comes another one. Gonna come right over us. There he is. Really, I'm right on the flight path at the moment. So we're now getting into these, older but not as fancy houses for the most part. The big ones down here are still along Albert Street, which is nice. You can live there, beautiful house, big house, but you have Albert Street, which is quite busy. The cars zipping by day and night. So in a way, nicer back a block or two this way. They have a paddling pool, it looks like. Oh, someone's building a new garage. Is there a new house to go with it? Refurbishing an old one, maybe. Oh, maybe it's brand new. I think what I'll do is just go as far as Hill and then start working my way back the other way. I think is what I'll do. Might go a block or two further, because this is Hill coming up. How long have I been out? 21 minutes. I'll go 2 more blocks north and then work my way back. Or south, I mean. I'm facing south right now. Also on Hill, you'll get a few nice houses as well. Another broad avenue. Zigzag this way. Take the next street up for a block. Also, we're getting close to, what is it called? Montague here, I guess. I always think of it as Elphinstone, but in fact it changes names. Where the Hill Avenue shopping center is that I often walk by. So this, as you can see, is the newer neighborhood. Houses built probably in the 50s, 60s, maybe 40s, some of them. New ones too, like that, but not huge ones. This is the better place to cross anyway, because it's a, now there's a big one on that corner. An older one. Good place to cross because it has a crosswalk. Robinson Street. Well, here's to you, Mrs. Robinson. Jesus loves you more than you know. Oh, oh, oh. So yeah, there's a big one there that's quite nice. Oh, it's for sale too, so maybe we should take a look at it. You want to live in the neighborhood? There's the number to call. There's the house. For sale, and it even has a flagpole. Another plane going over, but just a little guy. Oh, there are dogs in some of the backyards. I get barked at more than once, often walking down here, but at the moment they're either all asleep or they're out for walks or they just don't care. Here's another alley, so we'll take it. Another paved alley. Oh, and then the light turns left almost immediately up here. Is this the one that has the garage art on the door? We'll find out in a minute. Or if that's a different street. Oh. I didn't even know there was a... Oh, yeah, I know where we are. That's... there used to be a school over there, but it was torn down. There was a separate school, because that's a Catholic church. There was a school there that I walked by more than once, but not that long ago they tore it down. No sign they're building anything new there, but maybe they'll get there. Or maybe it's just going to go to open space for a while. Okay, once I get over one more street, I will start working my way back north. Always interesting to see people's backyards too when they're available to be viewed. Trampoline there. Now I hear a plane taking off. Thank you. Nice to be walked with. I can't see the numbers. Do I have very many viewers? There's a few on YouTube watching right now. I never get a ton. Usually under 10 at any one time. But over time, I typically get 150 or 200 views or more. Depending on where I'm walking, some attract more attention than others. Anything around the university or SciAS gets lots of views because of people who are planning to come here to be a student. Let's check it out. The fireworks video from a few weeks ago, Canada Day, got a lot of views. And of course, I highly recommend looking at my one-man show that I did to celebrate my birthday, which is not till next Saturday, that we celebrated last Saturday. And I did a one-man show with, see, there's a dog, with just the other side of that fence. Two of them, maybe. I did an hour-long show called A Senior Moment with Edward Willett. And my daughter and wife were part of it as well, at the Artesian on 13th. Robert Urson accompanied, and if you'd like to check it out, it's on my YouTube channel. You can watch the whole thing. Warts and all, because there were a couple of songs that I would like to redo towards the end. I think I was getting tired, so I slipped up on a couple I shouldn't have slipped up on. It was all right, because it was called A Senior Moment, so it played right into the title of the of the performance. Yeah, there was a school there. Now there's a field of weeds. Not quite the same as a field of dreams. Lots of sunflowers in it. I think I will go kitty corner on this corner. Or can I? Maybe the weeds are still too high. No, I don't want to do that. I'll stick to the road or the alley. See you. Some apartments along here of the older style, but there's quite a few of in Regina. Okay, now we're working our way. We've turned the corner and we're headed home, kind of. But I will keep jigging till I get over to apartments for rent, if you're looking, in that one, and many others. I'll keep jigging this way until I hit Montague, and I'll jig back. So yeah, it's like a whole block of rather basic apartment buildings here. Probably not very expensive. I don't see any sign of air conditioning either, which is would be a, unless they put it in their own windows. First thing we did when we moved into the old house that's belonged in my wife's family since 1939. It was built in 26. First thing we did was, well, it needed a new furnace, but we also put in an air conditioner because I work at home and I had no interest in sweltering as I had for many years before when I had the opportunity not to. So, okay, that's Montague. I don't know if I'll go all the way to it. Maybe I'll just start back this way and avoid the trafficy street so it's quieter. Somebody's camper. They had a Saskatchewan Rough Rider cover for their barbecue. That's how seriously we take the riders around here. They're playing the BC Lions tonight, and they're undefeated so far this season, so let's hope they can keep up that string tonight. Lots of well-established trees, many of them elm trees, but they've done a good job of keeping Dutch elm disease out of the city. Every once in a while they have to cut one down, but I haven't heard about one going down for quite a while. So My dad grew up in Coffeyville, Kansas, which had old American elms, and Dutch elm disease pretty much wiped them out. So when he went back later, all the beautiful tree-lined streets were bare. Now, a lot of the elms are actually towards the end of their natural lifespan, so occasionally they come down for that reason. But I think in the time we've lived on the Crescent, which has elms on both sides, they've taken down 3 or 4 for whatever reason. We also have big spruce, though. Although, as there are here, I mean, that's a big spruce. Big spruce. There. But one of ours actually lost about 12 feet off the top of it in a windstorm a few years ago. Landed in our neighbor's yard. We came back, we knew there'd been a storm. We said, oh, everything looks fine. And then our neighbor said, look up. And we discovered. So, of course, we paid for what he had to pay to have it hauled away. Oh, wildlife. Okay, well, to be true to my ideals in this walk, I will be taking this alley here as we come back to hill. Another plane goes over, but just a little prop plane. Excuse me. And as usual, about this point on a warm day, I think, why didn't I bring water? And for some reason, I only think of it about this point on the walk, and never when I start, when it might do some good. Well, that isn't the one that had artwork on it either. Of course, it's possible somebody's painted over the old artwork. Okay, we zig to the left, which brings us back to Hill Avenue again. I'm really just 1 block over from where I was before, but it's a different block, so counts for something, I hope. Road closed ahead. Wonder why. So I crossed 1 block down that way. As the old school is right down there, so I'm really just barely off of the, whoops, come back here. Just barely off of the path I was following before. So that being the case, I think I will go 1 more block this way. As we head on down to Regina Avenue, eventually. That keeps the birds off that netting. Okay, now we'll take this alley. And I am sweating. I just thought you'd like to know. Running down the back of my neck. I think there's a little short alley right here. Yes. Use my shirt tail to wipe off my forehead. These purple flowers are actually a weed. They're kind of attractive, but they're definitely a weed. And I don't believe they're native to the province either. And little sunflowers there. Sometimes there's really big sunflowers. All right, we will zig to the right. Yeah, I think I'll stay on this side because they're clearly working on that house and there's nothing around it but dirt. Cameron Street. Well, this will take me to the footbridge if I go straight down Cameron Street. There's some pretty flowers. So maybe I'll do that just to avoid any further complication. I'll just walk straight down Cameron now to the footbridge. Stop my zigzagging. Stop your foolish zigzagging, young man. Not a young man, but I can pretend. Younger than some, older than many others. That's probably a new house that's built in the style of the older houses. I know of another one that's kind of like that. I like them because they fit in the neighborhood so well. Coming up to Lakeview School on the left. You see the school crossing sign up there. I'm tempted to try my old gimbal again. Maybe I was too quick to get a new one. Because I'm really hating having to hold down this switch. And clearly something has gone wrong with the thing. There's a very new and modern one. Looks empty though at the moment. See the school on the left. So about, 3 blocks on down this way is the footbridge. It's a Saturday. This means it's martini night. We'd like to do... Back when COVID was on, we watched this thing on YouTube every week, Cocktails with the Curator, which was the Frick Gallery in New York. And the curator his name is Xavier. And it was great. They would post recipes for cocktails, and you would make it and then drink it, and while you looked at a piece of art that they described. We really got into it and did most of them. Even though if we did stupid things like buy an entire bottle of some obscure liqueurs so we could make 2 2-ounce cocktails, and now we have all that left. But anyway, we discovered we really like martinis, and so it's become a tradition. I remember when I first started walking, this was just being built. Very nice modern house, lots of glass, covered entrance to the garage there. When I first started doing these walks, it was barely begun. It's like the United Church over there, where we often rehearse musical things. We did a little rehearsal for Beauty and the Beast there, which was the last thing I was in back in May. There's the old school, and it is an old school. The oldest part is 1914. The new part is in the 30s, from the 30s. So the old part, well over 100 years old now. Honk, honk. Another look at it. Usually I walk close to it, so I'm not very often on this side of the street. They have a covered porch, which is kind of cool. Veranda. I don't know why there isn't more of that around here. It's a southern thing for sure. I've slept on a porch like that more than once. And visiting somebody in the south, especially in the people who didn't have air conditioning, that was the coolest you could get. On a screened veranda, maybe with a fan blowing. Unfortunately, my grandmother had nothing like that. Her house was awful in Missouri in the summer, and she also had flannel sheets on the beds. I remember just hating it as a kid. Maybe that's why when I went to school in Arkansas, I tended to freeze my roommate, who was from Texas. I was much taller than him. I could reach the air conditioning controls above the door more easily than he could. And I kept it at like, 68 or something in the room, and he found it a little chilly at times, I think. Good for sleeping, though. Andy, if you're watching this, you'll remember that. There's a big, newer one that also looks like it fits in the neighborhood, but I think it's actually new. And here's where we cross to get on the footbridge. Right till this car goes by to cross over. See, the original houses in this neighborhood, a lot of them are like this. These little tiny places with this kind of peaked roof over the front. There's a lot around. There's probably, I'm guessing, post-First World War housing. Not even post-Second World War. Because the old house I lived in on Garnet Street, which didn't have that much architectural character, but was about the same size, was post-First World War, or even during the First World War it was built. Because, of course, when you had people coming back after the war, there was a housing shortage in many places. There's also some post-Second World War housing built in kind of the same reason. And it's possible that's what that is. I don't know for sure, but I suspect it's older. We will cross here. Cross the footbridge, as we often do. Kiwanis Park. There's the creek. There's a garage sale happening up here somewhere on this street. 2712 would be this, not the next block, but the block after, I guess. All right, looking west, you can see there's no threat of thunderstorms out there, which is where it would come from. Looking east. And now this time, maybe we'll go a short distance along the creek and then take the first steps down instead of the second ones. I don't really need to check out the garage sale. Dike built for flood control purposes after some serious flooding here in the 70s. The floods went way up that way. Didn't reach our house, but weren't all that far from it. A block or two further down this way was all flooded. And that's when they built these dikes, I believe. In Rotary Park, it's fairly flat to the river, but then there's a berm up towards the alley with openings in it that can be sandbagged up if the water gets up there. I've seen a lot of water in Rotary Park, but not really high enough to be a major flood concern in the years since I've lived here. But it varies very much from year to year. And certainly I remember in Weyburn in the 70s, as a teenager, helping sandbag down along the river because it was flooding quite heavily. Okay, there should be. No, it's not here. Oh yeah, here it is. I thought there were some steps along here. I don't usually take them, so I wasn't sure. All right, we'll go down here and then not too far from home now. Air-conditioned home, which is beginning to sound really good. They have a nice garden. I often look down that from there. And I've been in this house on one of the Davin School home tours. It's really cool. Very 50s, ultra-modern 50s. That's a very blue house. Oh. Newish one, but not the newest. Old one, very, very blue. Dark blue. Interesting choice. Up there for a minute, there was some sort of mural up there, but I think it's just waiting to be touched up again in the future. Yeah, I think that's quite an old one there from the style. Interesting color on that one too. Okay, choices. Oh, go this way because I more often go that way. Another old one. Sorry, I accidentally knocked off my microphone. Get back on there. Sorry about that. I guess we could do an alley here too. I don't come down this one very often. Not a paved one. Nice purple flowers. Those are not weeds, I don't think. Oh, maybe they are. No, those aren't. Those ones aren't weeds. What's the difference? A weed is a plant growing where you don't want it to grow. If you want it to grow there, it's not a weed. It's really the only difference. You could plant a bed of dandelions. They'd be very pretty right up until they went to seed, then they're not particularly attractive. Also, your neighbors wouldn't appreciate it. You're very close now to home sweet home. This is Retallick, so block and a half and I'm done. There's a rare sighting of a Canada flag plant. Little known that they're actually grown and then harvested for Canada Day. People think they're made, but no, they grow on trees. Okay, one more block, we'll be at my usual stopping point, which is appropriately enough a stop sign. So I often point out this is the house that was used in a TV movie in the 90s, starring original Wonder Woman. Her name has suddenly gone out of my head. I know it. Linda Carter. There you go. It was there. Nice gardens over here. I would like to have a nice front yard, but I have no skill, no knowledge, and little patience for the work required. Maybe someday. Maybe I'll finally really retire and putter around the garden for the rest of my life. I don't know. Seems unlikely. As a writer and publisher, I don't really see a path to retirement. I just keep going and going until I can't go no more. Hopefully, many, many years from now. Okay, here we are. We'll stop at the stop sign. So thanks for walking with me. Probably won't be back tomorrow, but I might. I just don't know yet. Bye for now.